Hello, this is Amy with For Tech Time. Today we'll be looking at NixOS, which is an operating system maintained by NixOS contributors and is centered around the Nix package manager. The Nix package manager is almost certainly one of the most powerful package managers the Linux community has to offer to date. It can be used for many different purposes. You can install packages as both a root user and a non-root user, and the capabilities of it make for a very interesting experience when pairing it with its own distribution. I'm going to divide this video into 4 segments, and please note that a lot of this is kind of an oversimplification of all that NixOS has to offer, so I do recommend you do your own research of it and formulate your own opinion. I'm going to be covering 4 parts ready. We'll cover the installation, I'm going to be covering the package manager, I want to cover what I think is good about it, and I'm going to cover what I think is bad about it. And to start with the installation, I'd say it was pretty easy being an experienced Nix user. All you really do is use a couple installation scripts they provide in the live CD, which you then use to install the system. You partition your disks, and then you run those, and it eventually installs the system for you based on an initial configuration file you make. And so it was pretty easy having done Gen 2 and like Linux from scratch, but I definitely do see if you are a new Linux user having some major difficulties understanding what is going on, especially with how different and strange in a way NixOS is. To continue on, after that installation, which I said it went pretty smoothly, no major criticisms, I used the package manager, as that's how you get your stuff. NixOS does use a read-only file system, so the package manager does make it significantly easier to maintain a system that has that read-only file system. It is significantly better than Fedora Silverblue, which I might make a video about at some point because that was probably one of the worst Linux distributions I've ever used. So NixOS, because of the ability to install as a user, you can install all your GUI applications and anything you really need without having to reboot the system. So my issue really when I was moving into NixOS was that there's not very good documentation, or at least not any that's really easily visible. So like the first day I really used NixOS, I had a lot of difficulty understanding what's going on, what all the terminology meant, what to do, and how everything worked. Luckily, NixOS has a really healthy community, a really big community, surprisingly, and they are on Discord, IRC, and I think Matrix. And they were very helpful, and those made my experience a lot easier, but I still would like the better documentation to make it easier to use. Talk about the good of NixOS is obviously, first of all, the package manager. It comes with several utilities as well, which also are very useful for especially development. There's this thing called Nix Shell, which then you can use in a certain directory with all your programming files for a certain project, make a single configuration file, and then be able to make a container with only what you need to run the program, so it's easier to test and it's easier to have a reproducible environment, so it's easier to distribute around to coworkers or collaborators, for example, and it makes the process a lot less tedious and difficult. To continue on, NixOS also has their way they organize the system completely different from like a regular Linux distribution. Everything is done through Nix. You don't edit any etc files, you do not edit modprobe.d, you do not edit any kernel modules, not even desktops, you all do it through either Home Manager, which I honestly did not really get into much, and Nix, and the system configurator it has. NixOS also has a really good package searcher, which made it easy to find packages and options so I can get what I wanted kind of easily. A final good thing I have to say about it is that it's just easy to use after you get through that initial learning curve and getting through and finding the correct documentation and how to actually do things. My criticisms are, as I said, the documentation. I'd also say there's not much customizability in it, which I personally do not like. I am a big simp for customizable Linux systems like Gen 2, for example, or Arch. where you can have a very wide range of configurations installed under a single system. NixOS does not have that. It goes pretty hard into the reproducible game, which is really good in some circumstances, but my personal preference is not like that much. Other than that, I do not have much else to say about NixOS. It is actually a pretty good Linux distribution if you do already have some experience with Linux, and I do recommend you check it out. It is very good. Beyond that, I have nothing else to say. This is Amy for Tech Time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe even. Thank you.